Alrighty, I'm Jordan with Kachi Machi, and we're making kids' face masks today, so let's get right into it. Hey guys, welcome to Kachi Machi. Today we're making kids' face masks. We will have custom, and that's what we'll be making for Francis. We'll have some generic sizes, 0 to 3 years or so, 3 to like 5, and then 5 to 8. And then above that, you can probably just do a adult mask, just depending. Hey, paper please. Alrighty guys, we're just gonna jump right in. So Francis is 1.5. We measured her face and we took a measurement from ear to ear. And then from in between her eyes to as close as we could get underneath her chin with her not being very cooperative. That measurement was 4 inches by 7.5 inches. We doubled the length, so we will take and cut a 7.5 inch wide by 8 inch long rectangle, and we will use that to make her mask. For toddlers, you would use 7 inch wide by 12 inches high, 5 to 8-year-old, 8 inches wide by 14 inches high, 9 to 13-year-old, 8.5 wide by 15 inch high. Typically for adults, cutting them 9 by like 16 or 17, depending. Additional supplies needed would be ties or elastic. We did make ours with jersey or knit. One 1-inch strip of jersey knit would easily make 2 masks. So we had 2 ties, 1 inch wide cut. When you stretch them, they get longer. We cut them after stretching them to measure approximately 20 inches. You can cut them down further from there if needed. We used garden twine as a nose piece just to give it some form around her face. You can find this at the local hardware store. You can use twist ties, binder prongs, coffee bag ties, whatever it is that you're using on your adult masks, as long as you can cut it to size. Sidebar, we have a couple of videos where we talk about our favorites in cutting mats, rotary cutters, that sort of thing. You're welcome to check those out. There's links below. So let's get sewing. The first thing I'm going to do is fold my fabric right sides together lengthwise. So I'm going to have that 8-inch piece folded up into a 4-inch double layer. And I'm going to sew approximately 1/4 of an inch from that edge of my fabric. So the full length of that 7.5 inch side, backstitching when I start and when I stop. Okay. Now that I have that seam sewn, I'm going to turn my fabric right side out and choose which side you want to be the front of your mask. And I will rotate my fabric so that the seam is approximately 1/2 inch or so down on the back side, or what I would want to be the wrong side of my mask. And that's going to be where I put my nose piece in. And so I don't want that seam right at the top fold. We're going to bring that down here and stitch right on the edge of that seam. That's going to lock those underneath fabrics up in that pocket so that they're not uncomfortable. And then also it's going to give us that pocket for our nose piece. Okay. Sidebar, I'm using a blind hem foot to get a nice even stitch here. Most machines come with one of those. If you have one, absolutely throw it on and it makes your job a little easier. Now that I have the pocket for my nose piece, I'm going to head to my workstation, slide my nose piece in, and go ahead and press my pleats while I'm there. I'm just pressing my mask in half so that I can find the center. And then whatever the front of my mask is, I want my pleats facing downward, just so that if she does actually wear this in public, then it's not going to allow for anything to get caught in the folds of those pleats, because those pleats will be going down. So I had roughly anywhere between like 1/4 inch pleats, just because it's such a small mask, you don't have a ton of room there for large pleats. I'm putting 2 pleats in, just enough to get it enough gathered where it's not like hanging off her face on the sides. So for this custom mask, I'm going to be putting in 2 pleats because that's about all the room that I have. If you're doing the toddler mask, you also would use 2 pleats. Anything above that, so 5 to 8 years and up, you would want to put at least 3 pleats in. Once you have your pleats pressed, we're going to take our side pieces and press the top and bottom of them in so that they measure the same height as our face mask. So this will vary depending on whatever face mask it is that you're using. And so we have just generic sizes cut for those side pieces. You may find that you want to cut yours a little bit longer, or that you ended up folding up like 1 inch of fabric and you don't need that much. So you're welcome to make those side pieces smaller or larger at your discretion. Kind of depends on your custom face mask as to how long your face mask actually is, as to what size you would wind up needing to cut those side pieces. You want roughly a 1/2 inch top and bottom folded under, just because anything smaller than that is honestly annoying to press. We also cut these, all our side pieces are 3 inches wide. You can also make that smaller. I would err on the side of wider just because it's easier to sew, and make sure that you catch them on the back. Now that we have our side pieces, top and bottom, pressed underneath, we're going to press these in half and then apply them. Now that we have our side pieces pressed, we're going to take and line up the raw edges of our side piece with the raw edge of our face mask. Sidebar, if you have directional fabric like we do, make sure that your text is facing upward or that it's in the correct direction to match your face mask. Now we're going to stitch approximately 1/4 inch from the edge of our fabric, back stitching when I start and end. We'll do this on both sides. So I'm going to lay my tie into this little side pocket, fold this fabric all the way over my tie, and then I'm going to stitch in the ditch that is created here. So once you fold it over, wherever that fold is, you're going to stitch as close to that fold as you can get. Again, this is a great spot for your blind hem or stitch in the ditch foot. Now that we have our ties in both sides, I'm just going to even them up, and then I want to go back and tack across them, and that's going to hold them in place so that if Frances does decide to pull this off, she can't pull those out and they get lost. It's also great for laundering. They're not going to come out when you wash it, because you should wash these, guys. I mean, anything that touches your kid is going to get gross, so wash it. Yeah.
Your kids are gross.
And there we have it. In about 15 minutes, we have a face mask that has ties so it won't get pulled off of ears and dropped in a grocery store. The ties won't get lost or pulled out because they are stitched in, so it's launderable, and honestly it's more for play, so she can play with it and the ties won't get lost. She'll get to feel like she is the same as mom and dad and have her own little face mask, which is really the end goal for her at the end of the day, because she's just 1.5 and doesn't have to wear one. So she now has her own, and she's going to be a super badass little motorcycle kid. I'm pretty excited about that. So, all right. Thanks for joining. If you like this video, subscribe, please. It's so close to hitting 1,000, which is our first goal. We are super, super close. Never mind.
No, that's great.
So, subscribe for more content like this. We're super close to our 1,000 subscriber, which is our first main goal, and we appreciate every single person who hits that like button, subscribes, and watches our content. Check out how this face mask looks and works on Frances on our Instagram at Kachibachi. Tag us there in your pictures when you make them for your littles. We would love to see those. And thanks again for joining.
Oh, we need pictures. So you gotta wear a baby mask in a day and a beard mask in the same day?
Yeah, so little. I mean,